I want to definitely give a shout out to Non-Human Humanist for that $5 contribution of CHF. I don't know what that is. Anyway, saying awesome host and co-host today. Also, Anthony McLendon, the $10. Good morning, Adrian. JR always relies on your legal knowledge. No wonder he asked you to host today. Great presenter, queen of the SAG. Add Jessica's razor sharp analysis. More of this, please. I definitely dig it. And I had a great time hosting with you today, Jessica. And so can you tell the viewers where they can find more of you?
Yes, always great to be on with you, Adrian. Yeah, Rebel HQ. Watch the videos there. Also on TikTok and Twitter.
Yes, very nice. And you all can find me as well on Rebel HQ. And if I happen to be hosting another show, have the rest of the day in a good way.
Welcome one and all to another day, another, everything. It's the whole thing here at the Damage Report. And thankfully, one big part of the whole thing on Mondays will remain on Mondays. Francesca Fiorentini. Francesca, how's it going?
Good Monday morning. That's
a reference, is what that is.
No, it's not.
No?
I'm the only one who's ever done that. Like holding good for that long.
Yep, you made it up.
That's right here on the Damage Report, yo.
Yeah, I'm having this weird thing, behind the scenes. I'm having this weird thing where my I don't know if this is like an AI becoming sentient thing. My Skype window normally, this is behind the scenes, would have Francesca. It would have whoever the producer's on, who today is Marisa, and then it would have like our live production view, and it is only interested in Francesca. I cannot get it to show anything else. I don't know what's going on. It's like, no, unsullied, unfiltered Franny. And that's all I'm getting. So I have no idea if I'm live at any given point. But anyway, I am on screen apparently. Where am I? Thank you everyone for being here. We're about to launch into a big old week here where there's gonna be apparently more testimony. January 6th commission. They said they were gonna take a bunch of time off and then they immediately undercut it. It's like a trial separation. I guess the first one didn't stick. I don't know. But anyway, we've got a lot to talk about even just today, starting off in just a little bit with our Monday Minutes. We're gonna have a little bit of fun with that. Jumping into Joe Biden, what he's doing, and far more importantly, all the things he's not doing. Turns out people not a fan of the president doing nothing as the world burns. And then we got EV chargers being destroyed. We got Proud Boys. We got Natalie Portman's biceps. We got a lot to talk about today. So I'm gonna need everyone to buckle up, hold on to your butts, hit the like button so that people get you. I can't tell if you're live. Like Francesca's flexing her biceps.
I'm sorry.
Is that all that the camera's on? I don't know.
Oh, I'm ready to talk about Natalie Portman's biceps.
Yeah, me too. I swear I have a reason. This is not like all of the other times that I've talked about Natalie Portman's biceps. It's topical now.
This time it's different.
Anyway, so with that said, if you want to send us any comments, tweets, super chats, and all that, we can respond as we go. Oh, I do want to respond to one. I missed this at the close of last Friday's show. So we had a member of the Dragon Squad, Kim Thomas, who had talked to us about a little baby who needed a dragon name, and we were curious what it was going to end up being. And Kim Thomas apparently did respond, saying the squad has spoken. Baby is named Rugrat Dragon, whose coming was foretold. Aww. He shall be raised to seek justice, walk with honor, and always to roar.
I was gonna say awesome. Blowout Dragon, but that's ostensibly less fun. Rugrat Dragon, I like. My baby can be Blowout Dragon.
My God, okay, that's what it's gonna be apparently. Anyway, with that said, I think it's about time that we jump into this thing. So let me get us set up here. Over the course of the weekend, when the Damage Report is not live, monsters come out of the shadows. We need to break it down on Mondays with our Monday Menace. So we got a bit of an old school Monday Menace for you. I don't even think he was really in the news the entire span we've been doing those. It's Donald Trump. He's doing rallies again. In fact, he went to Alaska to rally with Sarah Palin. And he talked about a lot of things. I have issues with most of them, but I want to start off with a really concise explanation of how pathetic their entire movement is. He'll explain.
Then we did a hell of a job, never got credit for that. More people died under Biden, you saw that. And the job we did with COVID, or as some people call it, to be more accurate, the China virus. But we did so much in terms of therapeutics, and a word that I'm not allowed to mention, but I'm still proud of that word. Because we did it, we did that in 9 months, and it was supposed to take 5 years to 12 years. Nobody else could have done it, but I'm not mentioning it in front of my people, but someday we're gonna have to all sit down and have a little talk. But you know what? We did a hell of a job.
Okay, so there's a lot there that's just amazing. I mean, the simplest stuff to dispense with is, did you know more people died under Biden? Well, it's been like 2.5 times longer under Biden. Also, you guys you wouldn't do anything to stop it. You spent the whole first year refusing to be a part of the solution. And so what do you know? It continued and it was a big problem. And also, I love the cognitive dissonance of talking about way more people died under Biden. It was a massacre. Also, it doesn't matter. Nobody's dying. It's all made up. It's all fake and you don't have to worry about it. But they definitely more died under Biden. But anyway, he refuses to say the word vaccine, Francesca. What do you make of that?
Incredible, incredible. Someday we're all gonna have a little talk about it. First, I'm gonna have 4 more years, or maybe 8, or maybe forever years. And then when I'm on my deathbed, I'll tell you, you should have gotten vaccinated. Like, if you text Trump to 6789, we'll give you a gold coin and a free dose of the COVID-19 vaccine, as all the ads are right next to him. I just love just how cheap and grifty Trump has become. But like, yet he is afraid of his own base. He's afraid of his own accomplishments. And I know that for many of us who try to think rationally and use logic, the idea that you would blame Biden for having more deaths on his watch and simultaneously not be able to say the word vaccine or even say that you believe in COVID, that would seem like cognitive dissonance. Counterpoint, religion. That's it. I just want to say that, like, these are also people, and no disrespect, but like, these are people who simultaneously are like, I am pro-life. That's why a mom should die for a ectopic pregnancy because God wants me to be pro-life. Like, there's a man in the sky type stuff. You can attach it to QAnon and everything, but like, that is what the far right, that's what a lot of fascist thinking is that cognitive dissonance.
Yeah, no, you're totally right. It is amazing that like he knows he's surrounded by people that if you brought up the fact that they should have gotten this thing that he is still telling us he thinks worked and was a miracle, if I were to say the word, these people would lose their minds and would refuse to support me as a politician. But it's probably Biden's fault. It's probably the Democrats that are responsible. No, but like, and that's why I started off by saying that this is really about the movement. Imagine being in a room and knowing how crazy the people you're trying to appeal to are. And you're still gonna try to appeal to them. And any other politician, by the way, would have just not brought this up. They would have known all of this. They would have, whether they support vaccines or not. And most of the Republican politicians, deep within their hearts, they know that science is accurate. They went to Ivy League schools and everything. They know this is true. They just won't bring it up. He is like so unfiltered that he will make clear to us how ridiculous that is. But imagine trying to appeal to people and knowing how crazy they are. Yeah. Like I can't even come up with an example. Like if Bernie was giving a rally, what would he not be able to say? But he would know that the people he's appealing to are out of their minds when it comes to something, but he has to just avoid talking about something because that would trigger them.
Biden is utterly effing up. Like
no, but Bernie wouldn't be afraid, I don't think, to say that to progressives at all. You think?
He would be more coded with it, but I don't think he could openly go hard in the paint against Biden. I mean, I'm just calling it like it is, but yes. I agree with you. Nothing so absurd. I mean, I did want to point out the thing in that entire, I know there's more, but the thing in that snippet that we need to talk about is like, when did he get the biggest applause line? It's when he said China virus.
Yep.
And we have week after week after week of more anti-Asian hate crimes happening in cities across this country. And we're like, gee, I wonder why. Let's get more police on the street. Yeah, more cops. That's what we need. No. Yeah. We need leaders to not buy into the entire Republican Party has been feeding their base this kind of racist crap.
Yeah.
And so he's still relying on them.
Yep. And again, why is he doing this? He's doing this because they love to like have you point at another country, another race of people and say that they're bad. They love feeling like those people are bad. But also, why is China bad? China's bad because they spread COVID. That's what they believe. The fact that they have actively spent 2 years spreading COVID does not make them as bad as China for some reason. And by the way, China initially, COVID came from them or whatever, but like I feel like America has exported a lot more COVID in the past couple of years, but for some reason it's not really our fault. That said, Trump might so he didn't want to say the word because of his voters and all that, but also bear in mind, he was there to support Sarah Palin for Congress, and she said she would get a COVID vaccine, quote, over my dead body, which is actually usually how that works. But anyway, the candidate he's there to support has the same crazy opinions as the base does. By the way, she gave a speech about the plandemic and how they purposefully shook our economy to its core. All this was invented by the globalists or whatever. It wasn't real, they made it up. He's there to support a candidate like that. And 63% of Alaskans are fully vaccinated. And obviously, if you were to break that down by party, it's 63%. We've had the vaccine for so long. A year and a half, we've had access to it. Doses are just spoiling in freezers. 63%.
They're throwing them away. They're throwing, they're throwing hundreds of millions of doses away, hundreds of thousands of doses away, excuse me. And it's disgusting. And you have these people, and we know that actually now with new variants that like vaccines are stronger than so-called herd immunity or getting COVID. And that like, what is it like after your second COVID bout, you're pretty much definitely gonna get a third. Like there's like all these new studies that are like, no, it actually gets worse. You don't get more immunity, you get less, especially against the new variants.
Yeah, no, it's just terrible. Anyway, this is not the only reason that he's our Monday Madness. We're gonna get into a couple of other topics in 1 second. By the way, though, Trump is out of power. That's what makes these being able to cover these videos a little bit more feel good than they were over the past couple of years, because he can't immediately turn them into policy. But they are a reminder. He wants to be president again, and there are many very good reasons to believe that that will be the case. But that said, let's turn to a different topic with this video.
Based on the Green New Deal, remember they started at 12 years. You only have about 7 years left. I don't think anybody's too worried, right? You could worry about nuclear warming, but you can't worry about the global warming. The global warming, they said the other day, I heard somebody, that the oceans are gonna rise 1/8 of an inch over the next 300 years. We have bigger problems than that. We'll have a little bit more beachfront property. That's not the worst thing in the world.
Okay, if you heard that scientists have been saying that over the next two and a half centuries, the oceans would rise by 1/8 of an inch. And if you thought, wait, that can't be right. Well, I Googled it. That's not an honest reflection of what scientists say. They say that the ocean could rise 26 feet by 2300, a little bit more than 1/8 of an inch, just to be clear. I mean, let's be doubly clear. He doesn't give a damn. He ain't gonna last that long. I don't think he's gonna last out the decade, but so he doesn't care. He's convinced a lot of people to not care. It'll be more beachfront property, says the guy who can afford to move at a moment's notice to anywhere he wants for the hundreds of millions of people around the globe whose entire life will be destroyed as a result of the thing that he is mocking. It'll be serious for them, but some of them are having fun with it. Now, a lot of conservatives, by the way, live in areas that are gonna be devastated. All those conservatives down in Florida whose lives and homes and businesses are gonna be devastated over time. It's all just a big old joke, Francesca.
I mean, look, there are a few things we can look forward to in this life. But watching Mar-a-Lago be swept away in a hurricane is absolutely in the top 5 things, next to seeing my kid graduate from college, whatever. Like those are the things that one looks forward to. And I think with climate change, you can bet your behind we are gonna see that. So he might be in office, but all of his golf courses are going bye-bye. And not only that, I mean, so what's interesting also to chart the climate change denialism on the right is that they held on to it for I think a good, and it still exists, but it's a decade of this is not real. We're in a moment now of cynical acceptance, which is We do know it's real. I've seen Fox News do segments on the 6th mass extinction, which is something that we're undergoing now as a globe. And yet they talk about it like, well, the alternative is socialism, right? Or the alternative would mean communism because it would mean we couldn't dig up all the oil that we wanted, because green energy is doing Marxism. So you're seeing them admit that it exists, but then there's always a caveat of why it's not that bad, which Trump is like, there's just gonna be more beach property. Yeah. We're in that sweet spot right now. It's going to continue to change as we're like glubbing underwater, and they're like, but we needed to learn to swim. Like there's always going to be a thing.
Yeah, and by the way, like this is already really dark. I don't want to get darker, but like, I don't know if it's the next phase after the cynical acceptance that Francesca's talking about, or if it's 2 or 3 phases away. I don't know if it's 5 years or 20 years away. But like, you need to understand that when they finally can't deny the storms, the wildfires, the droughts, the inability to make food, the mass migrations of people, the resource wars, like, do you get that that's going to be their rationale for all sorts of fascist BS?
Yeah.
Like anti-immigration, hoarding resources, we can't afford to pay you, gotta scale back social services. Can women really can we give them positions when there's so few jobs left? They should really be back at home trying to grow food in the backyard. No, this is really dark, and I don't think enough people are talking about this. They're finally going to accept this and then use it, weaponize it in pursuit of fascism. That is 100% gonna happen. I do wanna remind you though, as he is joking about this along the way, sea level is already expected to rise 10 to 12 inches in the next 30 years. That's as much as it has in the past century, so that's fun. Also, we don't need to look ahead 3 decades. Right now, sequoias are at risk in Yosemite because of a wildfire that has rapidly grown to, that article says 1,600 acres. It's about 2,000 acres now, so that's fun. Oh, also a massive glacier collapsed in Kyrgyzstan, so that's fun. Hikers just barely got out of the way as this massive collapse happened. India experienced hundreds of deaths from renewed mudslides that are happening in no small part because their monsoon season, which has existed for a long time, obviously, is now being compressed into an even shorter period of time, meaning that the massive rain is falling even more condensed, and that's leading to tons of deaths. Oh, there's heat records being broken all around the world, from Italy to the Arctic. A particular province in China hit 111.6 degrees, and one city in Japan hit 104.4 degrees. Those aren't things that are supposed to happen, but it's all a joke to the conservatives here, Francesca. Isn't that fun? That's why he's your Monday menace. But that said, I want to go into one more thing, a bit more random of a thing. Like Democrats, liberals, progressives, we're blamed for a lot, obviously. But did you know we can now be blamed for the clogging of politicians' arteries? Take a look at this.
Rudy's right now getting well. He had a big problem, a heart problem. He's in a hospital right now. Can you believe it? What they put Rudy through. But he was a great mayor.
Do you understand what's happening there? Rudy Giuliani had to get heart surgery, and they're saying it's because people have put him through a lot. That's not true. Now, what is the they? What are they putting him through? I don't know exactly what he means, and there's a very real chance Donald Trump doesn't know what he's saying. But Giuliani was recently subpoenaed as part of the Fulton County Special Grand Jury investigation. Lindsey Graham was as well. They tried to overturn the election, and that's serious stuff. Is that what it is? I don't know. Maybe they mean that when the supermarket worker slapped him on the back recently, maybe that's the they. Giuliani, by the way, described that interaction, which we covered on the show, as feeling like someone shot him. And by the way, I don't know what Trump meant, but Giuliani earlier today was on Steve Bannon's podcast, and he blamed that slap on the back for his heart surgery.
Oh my God.
No, but he got 2 stents put in because of clogged arteries. his arteries weren't clogged by a supermarket worker slapping him on the back.
Yes, they were.
That's not how it works. Now, I'm not a doctor, although I have watched the full run of Dr. House MD about 3 times through, and I feel confident in saying that no slap on the back clogs your arteries, Francesca.
You can, that dude, he was transmitting like, plaque through the back of his shirt. He just like through his hand, like, right? Like just years and years of red meat and trans fats. He just, it was like some X-Men thing that was happening. Look, I think we believe him. My favorite part of the Trump clip right there is that he goes, but he was a great mayor. Like, wait a minute, what are you, are you eulogizing him right now?
He didn't die.
He's not dead. It's a couple of stents. What the hell?
I mean, look, to be fair, he's not far off. There was a good chance Trump would have been proven to be accurate in that. But yeah, no, it's not.
Well, Trump doesn't want to pay his legal fees, so he's like, let's please everyone pray that Rudy.
There's no obligation if he's already dead.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's apparently out of the hospital now and doing pretty good. But it's like doing pretty Giuliani good. How good is he really doing?
Sure.
How good was he before the surgery? Honestly, no. This is like we're blamed for everything. We're blamed for Joe Biden's approval rating. We didn't do this. This would be like if Kavanaugh rushed out of the Mortons and thanks to his steak diet was constipated that last day. That's not abortion activist's fault. You're responsible for the food you put into your body, okay? When I inevitably suffer the consequences of my high Pop-Tart diet, that's on me, okay? That's not on you. Anyway.
I think it's a little bit on Giuliani and Trump and the news generally, John. Don't you think you'd eat fewer Pop-Tarts?
That's kind of a good point. I'm kind of eating my feelings and they've given me a lot of feelings. I do blame them and the bill will be sent to them directly. Anyway, with that said, we need to take our first break. And in fact, it is gonna be a real break because we're gonna try to figure out the little tech problem we're having. But don't worry, we got way more to talk about after this. Okay, everybody, that was quick, thankfully. Man, I love when a tech problem is resolved quickly. Okay, with that said, let's talk about what you're all talking about. Fab4 sent in a member's message saying good morning, afternoon, or evening, Dragon Squad, and happy 2nd birthday. Thank you to you too. By the way, we had done some posts for the 2nd anniversary of the beginning of the creation of the Dragon Squad last Friday. And in those posts, I asked people to post messages about, what it's meant to be to them to be a part of the community. There were so many awesome messages. Thank you so much to everyone who interacted with us. Okay, let's see. Lynn says both Watchlist and TDR began their shows with Trump stories. I feel they should have eased us into that. Yeah, I apologize. We hit you as hard as apparently food has hit Rudy Giuliani's arteries. By the way, I shouldn't joke because I'm definitely working on it and probably at a faster pace than he was. So actually, I feel a little bit of pressure in my chest right now. Is that a good thing? Anyway, Aria Wilcox has been a member for 13 months on YouTube. Says, hi, John and Dragon Squad. I'm very honored to be part of such a great community. You're all awesome. Thank you. You too are awesome. Fortnite Pro, AKA Be Kind Dragon, sent us a little unicorn emoji. Well, thank you very much for that. I appreciate it. Okay. A member named John ignored my message on Twitter and I'm salty about it, Dragon, has been a member for 5 months. I don't think with that name. But says, took me a little while to figure out my dragon name, but I think I'm satisfied with this one. Aria, you seem unsatisfied, actually. Apologies for missing your message on Twitter. Anyway, Daniel Velasquez gifted 5 memberships on YouTube. You know why? Because that's a thing you can do, and that's an awesome thing to do, so thank you for doing it. Much appreciated. Progressive Chihuahua, love the name, sent in a super chat to say, loved seeing John with the friend Tifa last night.
Yeah.
I have not done, okay, the rest of the message is in Spanish, and I have not done quite enough Duolingo to inflict that on you live, but I believe it means you're my heroes?
Aw.
Maybe someday. Thank you for it though. But anyway, I was on your show, wasn't I? What was that about? And where can people see that? And where can people support that?
John was on the Bitchuation Room podcast, so you can watch that back at Franny Fio, my YouTube channel. You can also listen as a podcast, wherever you get your podcast. Bitchuation Room it was so good. We also had a very long interview with Richard Wolff, professor of economics, and it was good. And then John and I also talked about Elon Musk for the patrons, so.
We did. Okay, Grandma Sunshine Dragons has been a member for 16 months and says seeking prayers and positive love thoughts from my tuxedo kitty Junebug.
No.
She's at the vet to have several rotten teeth removed. Last time under anesthesia, she almost didn't come back. Hugs and love to my dragon family. Oh no,
Tuxedo.
Good thoughts for your kitty.
I feel like she'll be okay.
I think so too. I'm feeling good thoughts. By the way, Marisa, I can't see the clock, so you let me know when I need to be cutting out, okay? Potato says, thanks Franny and John for making Mondays better. We do try. We give up after Mondays. That's why the rest of the week is such a drag. But anyway, Anna says, Trump really did they said the ocean's rising like I give an S meme. Yeah. He also, by the way, went on like a 2.5 minute long transphobic rant. So that's fun. Interestingly, Trump didn't used to do that, you'll know. In his 2 prior presidential runs, I don't think he often had much to say about the trans community. But he apparently has been following developments in conservative ideology. And he knows that that's what they're obsessed with. And they really want to destroy this community. So expect that in his next presidential run, that'll be a much bigger part. How fun. Min Nguyen says, hi Dragon Daddy, Crypto Dragon here. Can we get a dragon rawr from MILF Dragon?
Rar?
I didn't call. Okay, just to be clear, I didn't call her that. Anyway, so with that, let's see. Anita Reason to Believe says they want and are getting theocracy. They do want that. They have no real aspirations. They don't think government can exist. They're probably onto something, but they feel like they can be elevated religiously. We will be back. Are we back? I can't tell now with the no tech thing. Oh, we're good. Okay, then we're just gonna continue. Okay, well, welcome back, everyone. We've got a lot to talk about, including Joe Biden. Do people want him? Do people not want him? What do you think? We're gonna dive into it and really figure this thing out. But we're gonna start off with the big topic of the month with this.
Do you have a message, Mr. President, for women who were protesting outside the White House yesterday?
Yes, keep protesting because keep making your point. It's critically important. We can do a lot of things to accommodate the rights of women in the meantime, but fundamentally, the only thing that's going to change this is if we have a national law that reinstates Roe v. Wade. That's the bottom line. Everything else, we can get pieces of it, and I'm trying to do that.
Okay, so that's Joe Biden saying, those of you who are out there protesting, including many people protesting around the White House, continue doing what you're doing. And in fact, you're right. We do need to do something to accommodate these rights. I'd use a different term personally. We need a law, a federal law, and we're gonna get it. Well, look at that. Biden is super in support of protesters who are frustrated with the destruction of Roe v. Wade. It's almost as if they felt the need to trot him out to do a bit of damage control, considering what the White House was saying about this over the weekend. Now, Francesca and I talked about this on her show over the weekend. In case you missed the statement that was put out by the White House communications director, Kate Bedingfield said over the weekend, Joe Biden's goal in responding to Dobbs is not to satisfy some activists who have been consistently out of step with the mainstream of the Democratic Party. It's to deliver help to women who are in danger and assemble a broad-based coalition to defend a woman's right to choose now, just as he assembled such a coalition to win during the 2020 campaign. The president has been showing his deep outrage as an American and executing his bold plan, which is the product of months of hard work ever since this decision was handed down. So shut up, you peasants, shut up, you activists, you're out of step. You, Francesca, you think that reproductive rights should exist, thus proving that you are a wild-eyed radical. But anyway, people weren't happy about this. And so it sort of makes sense that they try to put out a different message with Biden there. Francesca, what do you think?
Just stop. Just stop. Just stick. Just like honestly, stick to anything. Like, do you have a moral compass? Do you have some kind of like guideposts in terms of what the hell this administration is actually about? They keep going back and forth on this, and honestly, that statement it's gonna take a lot to come back from that statement, because that statement, they're talking about building coalitions. That statement absolutely iced out the very people who worked on the Biden campaign, building coalitions for him, looking at reproductive rights, looking at all kinds of things. And he's consistently like thrown them all under the bus. But I do think it's nice. It's very cute that he says keep protesting as he keeps bike riding, even though he fell. You just get up and you keep on pedaling, as he was there with his, of course, with his security detail, and clearly on a bike. But just like the last thing, that statement, it not only bothers me because it is absolutely, there's the contempt that they have for Democratic voters. Voters, you can call them activists or what. Here's the difference between an activist and a voter who you want to get to. The activist is your bridge to the voter, you dumb POS. Like the activist is the person who's doing the work that you should be doing, oftentimes unpaid, is trying to get people involved in the political process, right? But I hate the part where they say like, oh, the president is responding with outrage like any American. You're like, no, you're not any American. You're the president. So I'd like you to respond not like any American. I'd like you to respond like the president.
Well, and that's a totally perfect criticism, but also he's not nearly as outraged as many Americans, and that's clear. He's doing like kind of an old man version of like, oh, I'm supposed to be outraged. Okay, I think I can work myself up into it briefly. So that's obviously a big issue. Also, the whole thing reeks of like the boss crossing the picket lines and then like yelling at the factory, yeah, we're mad at you. But Biden, are they protesting Republicans? Yes, understandably, they're protesting Republicans in many cases, and the Supreme Court and all that. But also they're protesting you because you're not doing enough. Saying, I think people should be with me protest. No, they're protesting you because you're not doing anything. Maybe you should consider doing something, then they might not be so outraged. Anyway, I want to give credit to a couple of different people for their statements about this, trying to get through to him. Co-founder of Ultraviolet, Shauna Thomas, said mainstream, Biden could double his approval rating and he still wouldn't be as popular as abortion rights. It's a great point. Burn. Anyway, she goes on to say, what activists are asking for isn't different from what the average voter is looking for. Leadership, to trust that the president is doing everything in his power to save lives and protect our rights. No one is asking Biden to do the impossible. We're asking him to do the maximum, and he is doing the minimum at the very least. So anyway, this is, I guess, their first pass at responding to this needless own goal here. Like the Democrats seemed poised even before Roe v. Wade was destroyed, after the leak in early May, to be like, okay, so we're not gonna actually do anything, but I think this will help us politically. How about this? What if you didn't do anything and also you found a way to not even have it help you politically, because you ended up being just as offensive as the people actively trying to strip away these rights?
I mean, I'm just like, we're gonna see in the midterms. But you just demobilized a lot of people who even still had a shred of faith in your presidency and was gonna, we're gonna work to get out the vote and whatnot, like the so-called activists who are out of step. Like, we're already trying to swallow. They're already trying to swallow the pill of Nancy Pelosi campaigning for Henry Cuellar. They're already trying to swallow the pill of the fact that we know it's nothing but lies. The fact that they had this ready for months. No, they didn't. They would have come out with it as soon as the leak was there, right? So we know all that's BS. So it's like time and time again, and now you're isolating folks even further. Ooh, the streets are gonna be hot this summer.
By the way, they came into the weekend saying, hey, all of you, don't pressure Biden, don't imply he's not doing enough. that'll demobilize people. And then they decided to show us what true demobilization actually looks like. It's a great point.
Yeah.
Okay, with that said, we're gonna jump ahead to the C block. The remainder of that stuff we can return to at another point, but I feel like we have to talk about this. Biden is assuring us that he's going to run again in 2024, but do people actually want him to? No. Now you've known this for some time, but it's getting real bad. Roughly 64% of Democratic voters polled say they believe the party should nominate a different candidate for president. 64% means a lot of people who supported Joe Biden, who voted for Joe Biden, who might have even supported him in the primary at this point, are changing it up. But that number, as shocking as it is, the 64%, when you look at young voters, dear God, 94% of those aged 18 to 29 say they would prefer a new candidate.
Damn.
That is, I would love to sit down with the remaining 6%, and I feel like we could probably fit them in like one stadium. Why? What is it about you that you prefer Biden? But anyway, no, that is the future of the party. If the party has a future, that's its future. They don't want Biden, Francesca, and the Democratic Party seems dead set on providing Biden. They've tried to convince people that he's the only one that can beat Trump because he squeaked out an incredibly narrow win in a few key states. And if you bring up the possibility that we could get someone, I don't know, someone younger, someone more representative, someone more in step with the Democratic mainstream on policy, someone who believes that the president has an obligation to do literally anything, particularly in the face of this anti-democratic fascist movement that we're facing, then you're the problem, Francesca.
I mean, it makes total sense. Then that 94% it stings, but I think it makes absolute sense. You look at why people came to the polls in 2020. It was off the back of a massive uprising around police brutality, around the murder of George Floyd. None of that has been addressed by this president at all. The George Floyd Justice and Policing Act has not been able to pass. There's been deadlock. There's been no effort on an executive level to intercept that or cut into that. Look at student debt, look at climate change, look at the issues that young folks take the streets for. Look now at reproductive rights and all the young women who are on the front lines of this struggle. No, he's not speaking to any of them. So you're absolutely, that 94%, man, you earned that, Biden. He absolutely earned that. And so look, I do think that it is telling right now, and it is also telling that that doesn't mean that folks aren't gonna come out to the polls and sort of, eat whatever mush you give them. But absolutely, it is a wake-up call. And I will also say, I would like a follow-up question about Kamala Harris, because the vice president attached to this president is not looking good. If the whole goal was to, position her to succeed him, that is not happening. She has been given a very short leash, and she ties herself in knots with it even when she has it. There is nothing about her that steps out. There's nothing about her that shows any leadership whatsoever. So the whole thing.
Yeah. No, continue.
The last thing I'm gonna say is, it's BS to put this only on young voters and only on Democratic voters. The people inside the White House, the people in his own administration, the advisors, folks who've been studying this and looking at this, who want him to do better, they're saying the same thing. What are we doing? This is bad.
Exactly. Yeah. No, they're not interested. And I've seen the beginning of these articles of well, okay, nobody wants him, but nobody else is stepping up in the party. Well, is it possible that you're just not willing to acknowledge those who are stepping up? And I understand the game that we play is, well, who could it possibly be if not the incumbent president? Well, obviously the vice president. Why? What, doesn't she have to have done something? No. And then I don't know, which governor looks the most like Biden 30 years ago? That's the game that they play. Well, if you look in our comments, there are people who are stepping up, and they may not be governors, but a lot of people, there's always a lot of conversation around Katie Porter, interestingly, but Nina Turner, AOC. There are others in theory that could run. Some people are saying Elizabeth Warren. There are other people in the country that might have a chance, and there's Francesca's right. Many of these people might still end up voting, but how enthusiastic are they gonna be? to vote, to raise money, to phone bank, to knock on doors, to talk to their friends, to get them to vote. Maybe, and also we know what his best is, Biden. He gave us whatever he had for this past year and a half, and it's effectively nothing. You think that an older Biden is going to be more vigorous, more active?
I'm so done with the Democratic establishment pushing these candidates. We had Clinton foisted on us. We had Biden foisted on us. We had former President Obama making calls in the dead of night, telling everyone to fold and get behind Biden or else. How did that work out for you, bro? Like, how is it going? I'm tired of this. I'm tired of this. And like, yes, Bernie would have won. Absolutely, Bernie would have won. But the machine wants safe. And sadly, we don't have time to so-called play it safe. And safe, honestly, is just safe for corporations. Let's be real about what safe means. So for the love of God, can we actually have someone who runs on bold ideas, who can fight? They don't even need to have the politics of Sanders. Even Klobuchar has more fight in her. Even Buttigieg has more fight in him. Like honestly, it was the worst selection, and everybody knows it.
Exactly. No, it's a great point. Okay, with that said, unfortunately, we're burning through our first hour. So when we come back, we're gonna briefly talk about one wild card potential choice for president, and then more to close it out. We'll be right back. I saw one person throw out Ro Khanna. Like Ro, he's been on the show many times. He did also say at the close of last week that Biden was our best bet in 2024. And I'm like, bro, come on, man. You can't possibly think that. Does anybody want to sit through a rematch of Biden and Trump at this point? Or Biden DeSantis? If it was Biden DeSantis, there would be no chance.
Yeah, no, it'd be over.
Things can change, you never know, but like very small chance. Okay, with that said, over on YouTube, Fiddle Gold, Golden Dragon became a tier 1 member. Thank you for joining us. Glad to have you here. Sandy Bricker became a tier 1 member as well. With the membership on YouTube, you get access to the badge and a colored name, and you get emojis and all that. At tier 2, you get access to the weekly top 10 list that Francesca and I do. Right after the show today, we're going to be filming. I realized we did this at the middle point of last year, and so we're gonna do it again. What are our hopes that remain for the close of this year? Things that could actually go well or be positive. We're gonna be breaking those down, trying to get a little bit positive, a little bit optimistic. That'll be coming up for you. Let's see. Carmina sent in a super chat saying, love being a new member of the Dragon Squad. Hope to figure out a name. Well, thank you for being with us. We appreciate that. Carmina also said, Biden made it clear that he is not with us. He's with someone. I mean, he's defending his sort of person. I would just like to have someone who is my sort of person in office for the first time in my entire life. I think that'd be great.
And there's more of you than there are of them. I'm sorry, that's all I'll say.
Exactly, I would like to think that. Okay, let's see what's going on down in Twitch. Calm Like a Bomb says, John and Francesca together 2 days in a row. It was actually. And Jim says, can we get John to sing the fart song as a co-host for the Bitchuation Room?
I forgot to do the fart song.
Yeah, we're gonna have to get a redo on that. Adam Baum has been a member for 5 months, or a subscriber, I should say, on Twitch. Thank you for being here. Euro Dragon for 14 months says, love from across the pond. Thank you. I don't know exactly where you're at across the pond. It's possible you're experiencing some political chaos as well. Emo Dragon Katie gifted a tier 1 sub. Thank you for that over on Twitch. Much appreciated. Progressive Florida Dragon's been with us for 10 months. Says, I've been here since the beginning. I can't believe it's only been 2 years. I can't remember a life without TDR. Oh, that's sweet. I can't imagine a life without one because I don't have any other monetizable skills. Maple Leaf Dragon's been with us for 20 months. Says, good morning, John and Fran. Happy Monday. Happy Monday to you as well. Taco Salad's been here for 24 months. And as everyone knows, the best taco salads are in Trump Tower in New York. So thank you for being with us. That actually happened. You remember that? Anyway, okay, this is a name on Twitch that is apparently allowed. Is a hooker, plays with balls. Has been with us for 22 months. Thank you for being here. Brandy Lou 2 gifted 5 tier 1 subs, much appreciated. You know what I love about Brandy Lou 2? It's a name I feel comfortable saying. Anyway, Drew George has been here for 16 months. Says 16 years on YouTube, 16 months on Twitch, 16 years of appreciation for all you do, TYT. Thank you, Jank, Anna, John, JR, Jordan, Brett, Brooke, Franny, Rashad, Bart, Adrian, Ida, Viviana, and the rest of the amazing hosts, guests, and staff. And last but certainly not least, thank you, mods and TYT fam. Much love. That was so nice. Thank you, I love that. Skittlebutt Dragon Rasp has been here for 19 months, says taste the rainbow, 1.5 years, baby. That seems aggressive in that context. Venerable Bug's been here for 15 months, says my fave duo, Dragon Daddy and Francesca. Well, thank you very much. Arsenic gifted 5 tier 1 subs as well. I love everyone who helps us grow our community. We'll be right back. By the way, in the social break, I made a joke about the best taco salads being in Trump Tower. Taco Salad responded saying, been to New York City Trump Tower, was not impressed. And that's from Taco Salad itself, so.
I love a good taco salad stand. Like that's such a niche and good thing to like be your thing. Cause yeah, taco salads are really tasty.
Yeah, I love the food. I don't love Trump posting it or yelling, I love Hispanics and that sort of like, I don't need any of that. I like the food, not the Trump opportunism. Anyway, with that said, let's talk a little bit more about 2024 and what could happen, starting with this.
John is really such an exceptional person that, he really could be president tomorrow, and he's smart enough to not want the job. Seriously, but he is a leader. In 2019, he testified before Congress about our government's shameful lack of health care for the men and women who responded to the events of September 11th. Yeah, people like my dad who ran into the towers that day, but instead of, giving their lives in a moment, they walked away with a lifetime of illness and pain. And John sat there with those responders behind him and Congress before him and gave the least funny speech he's ever made.
They did their jobs with courage, grace, tenacity, humility. 18 years later, do yours.
So that was, of course, Pete Davidson speaking about Jon Stewart at the when he was getting his Mark Twain Prize. Many other comedians not only lauded Jon Stewart, but also talked about the possibility of him being president, and thus the op-eds were born. There's an op-ed on Politico from Juliana Glover. If Tucker runs in 2024, here's who the Democrats need. And if you're on the podcast, you're not seeing. It is a picture of Jon Stewart beseeching God. I'm not sure what that photo is, but it's gotten serious. The op-ed starts off. Perhaps the most important reason for the Democrats to consider Stewart is who he'd be running against. Trump may run. Stewart has far more TV experience and is plainly much smarter with more agility before crowds. Trump's go-to show of strength has been his ability to pull thousands for his political rallies because they are viewed as entertainment by his supporters. A Stewart rally would be a road show of the most hilarious and civic-minded entertainers known today. Also says Florida Governor Ron DeSantis and former Vice President Mike Pence seem like they are running. Stewart would just wood chip right through those two stiff as a board speakers. And also goes on to say, what it would mean if Tucker Carlson were to run. And yeah, everybody knows their history with Jon Stewart bodying Tucker Carlson like 15 years ago or whatever. Now I'm gonna jump ahead briefly for time. Jon Stewart tweeted just like 2 days ago, no thank you. And that's the entire tweet. It doesn't say what he's responding to, but it's easy to imagine that it's the discussion of him potentially running for president, Francesca. What do you make of this?
Well, I was like, can we get lunch on Wednesday? So, and then I saw that tweet and he said, no, thank you. I was like, okay, God. But I definitely have alerts on his tweets. So I know every time he tweets. I would love for Jon Stewart to run for president. I'm sorry. We need someone who is a no BSer. And I'm so tired. And this is why like people like Bernie Sanders have been popular, is because when they speak, it's very difficult to detect their BS. And most politicians have a ton of it, right? Yeah. And that's kind of been Jon Stewart's like clarion call. Like that's his motto is no BS, really. When he signed off from the Daily Show, that's effectively what he said. He was like, smell it out wherever it is. And I do think it is very admirable. I know that he and his wife do awesome work in terms of like rescuing factory farm animals. And he's done this work when it comes to 9/11 first responders. And so he has a history of advocacy, and I do think that that can be very effective. It's mostly just me feeling selfish and wanting him to destroy the Republican Party single-handedly. And he absolutely could. Do I think he could govern well? No, but neither can any Democrat. So yeah, we're kind of in the same sitch.
And that's not purely speculative. We can look at a recent history. Yeah, like, so whenever something like this is raised, especially when the aspirations are put onto a celebrity, although this is a celebrity who has spent decades talking about politics at the very least. They ask, would you support this person? Well, like, we need context. Like, who else is running in theory? Well, first of all, he's apparently not going to do it. But if it was Jon Stewart or Kamala Harris, yeah, I support Jon. If it's Jon Stewart or Gavin Newsom or Pete Buttigieg or whatever, well, yeah, no, I'm going to do that. But do I want Jon Stewart over Katie Porter or AOC or Nina Turner? No, I don't. No, I don't want that at that point. But I wonder how he would be received nationally. I mean, look, he is a dynamic speaker. He can point to a couple of really good things that he's done. I mean, even just the video that Pete Davidson tossed to, that thing that Jon Stewart did there is better than the vast majority of everything a lot of politicians have done through their entire career, let alone if you were to deduct points for all the corruption and all that. But anyway, it doesn't seem like it's going to happen. And I think there are plenty of good progressives who might be far better on the policy, because let's keep it real, I don't know exactly where Jon Stewart or 2022 Jon Stewart stands on all of this. It's been a bit since he was actively opining on a daily basis about the news of the day. We've got a lot of great progressives in theory that could run. Having the primary at all is the thing that we should be pushing for.
Yeah. But it does speak to what people see in comics, which is a lack of a filter, and a truth-tellingness, and kind of a little bit of a leadership that we do not see. And that's a sad state of affairs. But then you also have like moments like Zelensky in Ukraine, former comic. But
well,
I don't want to. He who shall not be named should definitely not run for president. But Jon Stewart, I definitely think we can get behind.
Yeah, it's good to have, like, every comedian says that they speak truth to power. It's good to have that actually be speaking truth to power and not just like cover for transphobia. Like, that's a nice change of pace.
Or just speaking truth on Tucker Carlson's show.
Exactly, or that kind either. Okay, with that said, we're running very low, and I want to make sure that we get to this topic. So let's jump into one of the weirdest, unexpected pieces of news in a while. We know that the US has to do a ton and spend a lot of money to get the infrastructure necessary for wide-scale adoption of electric vehicles so that people will feel comfortable buying them and using them. There are many chargers that have been built across the country over the past couple of decades, but there is still a lot to be done. So when you see even an individual state legislature proposing money to destroy the ones that already exist, that seems like an issue to me. And in fact, that's what some in the North Carolina legislature want to do. They want to spend $50,000 to sledgehammer the ones that are already there. Why? Because they like the gas better. It's a bill, HB 1049. It includes a number of provisions intended to discourage the installation of free electric vehicle charging stations. The most criticized part is the $50,000, clearly. So why would they do this? Well, in addition to that money, they also want to really drill into people's heads that this free, like, charging, the ability that you could park there and then you could charge up, for instance, while you're at a grocery store. You should be angry about this if you don't yet have an electric car. Them being there isn't something that should make you optimistic about getting one someday, about the prices coming down or subsidies. No, you should be angry about the people who are already benefiting. What they want to do is they want to make it so that all customer receipts will have to show what share of the bill went towards the charger out in the lot. That way, if you show up in a gas car, you can be angry that you paid 0.01 cents more because of a charger that was put there. And I think that's actually kind of a fascinating idea, because those people aren't using it, so why should they have to pay for it? And I think we should take this and run with it. I think that we should also have on the receipt how much money was spent to build the parking lot in the first place, because some people go and they just walk there. If there's a bike rack, I didn't ride a bike, why am I paying for that? What about the air conditioning inside the store? I don't get that hot, so what's the difference? Why are you trying to cool it down? What about the people who want to carry around baskets? I don't like using baskets, I'm a cart man. Why am I paying for there to be baskets there? Bathrooms? You think I'm using a bathroom in a grocery store? Why am I paying for that? Do you see that we could do this? This is the student loan debt thing all over again. The idea that they're gonna try to get us to be frustrated with the fact that anything good happens in a way that benefits not someone other than me. Is that really the society we want, where we're individually picking apart every social good? But that is what they wanna do. And they're trying to force like these individual companies to provide free gasoline so that they don't have their EV chargers be destroyed. But this is just so backwards, Francesca.
No, but you're absolutely right. I mean, it speaks to the student debt stuff. It speaks to every kind of fragility that we are living through right now from a majority class that has more power. No. In fact, they're under attack. This is the straight pride parade of electric vehicles, right? This is, we need our month for straight pride. This is the, like, I'm sorry, but this is the Spike TV, where it's like, this is a channel for men. Bro, every channel is for men. I'm sorry, do you watch television? It's gotten minimally better, but like, that's what this is. And so the fragility for not having, like, and the proper response is, let's have more tax breaks to buy EVs. Let's have, make EVs more accessible for everybody. So it's not, they're more expensive. And actually having an EV and charging it, I used to have one, it's not cheaper, right? So how can we alleviate that, right? How can we rely on solar? How can we rely on wind, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera? No. It's just my gas guzzler is like oppressed. Yeah, that's what this is.
They're gonna try to fit like V8s under the Second Amendment. Just wait. Yeah, look, and by the way, this is not the dumb celebrity argument of, well, why doesn't everyone just buy it right now? No, we understand that they're a lot of them are too expensive. And not everyone can just buy any new car, let alone an expensive one. And in some areas, it's very hard to charge it. These are problems that need to be managed, just as our overall transition away from fossil fuels need to be managed. But the issue isn't that the Republicans want to make sure that that process is done responsibly. They don't want that process to happen. They're not interested in the US becoming a world leader in the production of this sort of infrastructure, whether it's solar panels, wind turbines, or electric vehicles. They want to go backwards because they think it's in their ideological interest. Anyway, unfortunately, that is all the time we have for our first hour. If you're on one of the linear platforms or on the podcast, thank you so much for watching. But if you're watching the full show, we do have more to talk about, including an op-ed lauding the Proud Boys, as well as I alluded to earlier, Natalie Portman's guns. We have that and more for you after this. Welcome back, one and all, to what remains of the show. Thank you for being here. Francesca is here as well. Francesca, thank you as always.
What up? No problem.
Thank you for being here. Do you want to let people, give people an early heads up about the change coming to the Bitchuation Room soon?
Oh yeah, you're so nice. Yeah, I usually stream on Sundays, but I'm moving to Tuesdays. Tuesdays, middle of the day, 1 p.m. Pacific, 4 p.m. Eastern, 3 p.m. Central, other times as well, depending on your time zone. So yeah, it'll be a Tuesday stream. I'll still be here on Mondays, and I'll remind you every single Monday. Nice. And that streams at Franny Fio on YouTube and Twitch.
Yeah, so it actually kind of works out because normally on this show, we like let people know what happened on the show. Now we can tell people what's gonna happen on the show. That's
Absolutely.
Gonna be fun.
As I figure it out live.
Exactly, we'll see if you know. Before we jump back into things, I wanna let you know about a few of the comments and stuff. I saw one from Franklin Sharpslicer, a super chat saying, I'd run for prez, but not to sound rude. We need to stop voting for decrepit old dudes. We've had old pervs and dusty old men. Don't make us do it again. I love that he's apparently prospectively putting himself into the group of dusty old perverts. Nice. Anyway, thank you for that. Kelly says in a super chat, we need to inspire people to vote. Only progressives can do that. Agreed. And they, the centrists and moderates, let us know that they think that too, which is why they pretend to be progressives during the election. Anyway, Cage Light has been a member for 15 months over on YouTube, says Biden doesn't have much time left on earth. He should just throw caution to the wind, pass a bunch of badass executive orders, and go out like a legend. I agree, lots of really powerful, really rich people could do amazing things and they just choose not to. Chelsea Henry sent a super chat saying, hey John and Fran, it's my B-day, can I get a shout out? I love the show and both of y'all. Chelsea, happy birthday. I hope it's an amazing day.
Happy birthday.
Yay! Bird of the Kiwi Dragon says Biden to protesters, keep protesting. Goes back inside White House, peers through office window. God, what do they want? Why won't they go away? More than enough time for him to have forgotten what was going on. Anyway, Matt Ulrich's been a member for 12 months, says I've been a member for almost a year, so maybe I should finally pick a dragon name. I'm a math teacher, so how about Pythagorean dragon? I like it. I don't know the equation necessarily, but I like it. Tuski 42 has been a tier 3 member for 18 months, says, hi friends, Guantanamo Bay. It will have its dismal 7,500 day anniversary of operations in July. Really? It was a prison for Afghanistan and activism is needed for the cause of decommissioning. Keep up the good work, hi Twitch fam. I had no idea it was that many days, geez. Well, thank you. And finally, Shoe Freak Dragon member for 18 months says, what up? Just commenting to find out how long I've been a member. Love you guys, love listening to TYT and the Bitchuation Room while at work. Devil's lettuce delivery. Thanks for everything. That's awesome. If you deliver in LA, maybe we've run into each other. Anyway, okay. So with that said, we have a lot to talk about. So you ready for this, Francesca? You want to jump into it?
Yeah, sure.
Oh, good. Okay. I don't know. Maybe you were gonna say no. I don't know. Okay. In that case, let's do it. We've reached the phase of the destruction of American democracy where they're just open op-eds implying that we should like the fascist militias. This time, the Proud Boys. Sarasota, Florida's Herald Tribune published an op-ed praising the Proud Boys, written by a woman who describes herself as a God-fearing Christ follower, a mother of 2 beautiful children, a patriot, and a wife of a man who defends his family and their freedoms. And in fact, you can see a screenshot of that op-ed here. Attacking Proud Boys does a disservice to caring school parents. What both the paper and that woman declined to say is that when she's a wife of a man who defends his family, what she meant but didn't say is she's the wife of a Proud Boy. Jesus. She was doing an op-ed defending the Proud Boys without saying that she is literally the wife of a Proud Boy. Anyway, that article has been taken down, by the way, if you try to go to it right now. There's no retraction, there's no explanation, at least as of when we're filming, it's down. But thanks to the power of screenshots, it ain't gone. So we know in it, it said, when I think about the Proud Boys, I think of fathers, business owners, and veterans. These fathers have spoken at many school board meetings. They are concerned about the direction that their local schools are headed in, and I commend them for coming to school board meetings. I can imagine that at one point in history, someone said, when I think about the Nazis, I think of fathers, brothers, guys who go to bakeries. These fathers are very worried about international Judaism. And I think that they've spoken at a lot of meetings, and it's probably a good thing. Yes, there's always gonna be people who are enthusiastically a part of this. There are always gonna be women who believe, oh, surely they won't take my rights if I only go along with it. Yes, there's always gonna be some people like this, Francesca, but the fact that it's not just that they had the op-ed defending the Proud Boys with no added context, no acknowledgement of their crimes, which we'll get into, but to not identify the obvious bias here is insane.
Yeah, my favorite part is for the podcast listeners, when you go back to the article, it just says, oh snap, this has been removed. They say, oh snap, which again, is an appropriation of slang that I think is very funny and like, I guess it's better than like file 404, but like just, oh snap, dude, we like didn't do our due diligence, even though we're like technically a newspaper. So like we didn't know that she was probably the wife of a Proud Boy. And like, by the way, we didn't even like Wikipedia Proud Boys, and we didn't even look at them on like the Southern Poverty Law Center. Like we have the memory of gnats. So sorry. If you want to submit an op-ed saying all the same things as Proud Boys, but not actually defending Proud Boys, go ahead.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, and by the way, like that's I'm sure if they come out and talk about why they did this, what they're gonna say is that they had published back in late June a guest column saying that the people in the school board should call out the Proud Boys. So this was critical of the Proud Boys. They published that in late June. So then in July, they have a Proud Boys trad wife talking about how awesome they are. No, but like, do you get that that's not good? Like, should we have violent militias? Well, yes and no. We've presented both sides. That's maybe bad for a democracy that we're at that point where we're still accepting this. The Proud Boys have, which Sarah Rumpf on Mediaite thankfully summed up for us, a documented history of criminal activities and violent altercations that dates back several years. Along with the Oath Keepers, multiple members of the group have been charged with serious felonies related to the January 6th attack. They were part of the insurrection. An FBI informant testified to the House Select Committee that Proud Boys had plans that included occupying various federal buildings and assassinating Vice President Mike Pence during the attack. Members of Proud Boys have caused turmoil in various Republican circles across Florida, including contentious squabbles over leadership of local party organizations and even physical brawls. And it isn't just that the Proud Boys have a documented history of violent altercations, being anti-democratic. That's the only thing they have. That's all they are. It's not like, they're a civic organization that occasionally goes too far. They're there to do this one thing that we're identifying. And we're supposed to forget that. We're supposed to think that Patriot Fund and Proud Boys and all of that, they're just exuberant patriots. No, they're waiting for the order to start gunning people down. That's the only reason they exist.
Yes.
We need to take it seriously. I would argue, more importantly, maybe these newspapers should take it a little bit seriously because they're aiding and abetting a PR effort to cloak neo-fascist like organizations like this, what they're there for, what they're doing. They're bringing guns to drag queen story hours. Like, but along the way, they're getting this free publicity, and it's absolutely ridiculous.
No, they're neo-Nazis, and they're openly such, right? They believe in things like, Western chauvinism and crap like that. And when you say that, would his wife mind giving up her rights? Yeah, she's fine with that actually, because that's part of it. Because that's how the white race prevails, is if we subjugate everyone who isn't a straight white cis man. So this, and it's been known, right? And yet, mainstream news has been doing and running this cover for a long time. The Unite the Right rally in 2017 was a moment where I think they all kind of a little bit of a come to Jesus moment for news outlets who had been like putting Richard Spencer on, in like deep long op-eds, right, and such. But it feels like they're backsliding, and I talked about this on the Twitchuation Room a little bit, Twitch stream on Wednesdays. But the way that they're also profiling anti-choice militant activists who actually are well funded by dark money entities, as if they're just like wholesome, people who finally got their wish on Roe v. Wade. No, that's crap. You're also carrying water for these. And again, talk to the people who work on reproductive rights. The Proud Boy bone is connected to the anti-choice bone, is connected to the Storm the Capitol bone. Like, this is a web of far-right fascist organizations. So when we throw around that word, know that we mean it. They don't throw it around lightly. They don't talk about the white race lightly. They mean it.
They do talk about it constantly, though.
Yeah,
they do that. Yeah, and what you're talking about the devil's bargain that the wives make in this case. Like we are not talking about this. I'm not going into 5 minutes of this because we gotta get these topics. But J.K. Rowling, like lauding like a literal fascist because he hates trans people as much as she does. Like J.K. Rowling, as far as I know, is pro-choice. She's lauding people who want to strip away those rights. No, because it's the turf thing is an inroads to giving up on literally everything else. Like you become so single-minded that that's the only thing that you can focus on. Anyway, with that said, we're gonna in just one moment get into something completely different. I do want to acknowledge a few people in the audience. Ladybug Dragon's been with us on Twitch for 25 months. It was good morning, John and Francesca. Thank you for being here. Fascist killer, that's a euphemism, it's not literal. Here for 21 months, thank you. Dragon Daddy Bear has been here for 11 months, says 11 months of Bezos bucks, at least it's my money, hard at work. Hi Franny, hi John, thanks for keeping us sane, thank you. The Braided Dragon's been here for 15 months, says 15 months of supporting an amazing organization, thank you so much. Oh, actually, speaking of organizations, Erica sent in a super chat saying AAF, the Abortion Access Front, is holding a training on abortion activism. Liz Winstead was on the Majority Report. That's coming up.
Yes, I've been and the Bitchuation Room, and we've been talking about that training on Sunday for a long time. Everybody sign up. You can have house parties or just outdoors or something, but it'll be good. It'll be good. You can plug in, find out how to plug in locally.
Exactly, great point, especially now. Biden will be there because he believes that we should continue protesting. Anyway, with that said, let's jump into our next topic. Uber has sure had a decade, huh? They became this massive thing and now it's gotten quite troubled. And apparently they've been hiding quite a bit along the way. Guardian's been doing some great reporting. They have a podcast Today in Focus, a 3-part series on what they've uncovered about the history of Uber, their relationship with wealthy individuals as well as governments, their apparent enthusiasm for violence against their drivers, alleged. There's a lot here, and we can't dive into everything. You should definitely check out Today in Focus for that. But they apparently got 124,000 confidential files, and it really paints a picture of how Uber was able to spread as fast as it was. They sum up a bit of this saying that Uber heavily subsidized journeys, everybody knows that at this point, seducing drivers and passengers onto the app with incentives and pricing models that would not be sustainable, and they knew it. Uber undercut established taxi and cab markets and put pressure on governments to rewrite laws. They paid prominent academics hundreds of thousands of dollars to produce research that supported the company's claims about the benefits of its economic model. That I did not actually know about. Can't wait to see the names. Uber also developed sophisticated methods to thwart law enforcement in different countries. One was known as a kill switch. When an Uber office was raided, executives at the company frantically sent out instructions to IT staff to cut off access to the company's main data systems, preventing authorities from gaining data from that sort of core system. Leaked files suggest the technique, which was signed off by Uber's lawyers, was deployed at least 12 times during raids in France, the Netherlands, Belgium, India, Hungary, and Romania. And look, I like to think that I follow the news a lot, but I also can learn. I didn't know they were so frequently raided in countries around the globe, let alone that they had an institutionalized way to like burn the books when the raid began. But as bad as all that stuff is, some of this on a more personal level seems even more objectionable. In one exchange, the co-founder, Travis Kalanick, dismissed concerns from other executives that sending Uber drivers to a protest in France put them at risk of violence from angry opponents in the taxi industry. He said, "I think it's worth it. Violence guarantees success." So the idea is if you send them there and they get attacked, beaten, maybe killed by these protesters, then that's going to make Uber look better and more sympathetic. So that's a good thing. I mean, the omelet there requires the breaking of the eggs of your drivers who get brutalized or killed. But I guess if you gotta spread fast, Francesca, that's a bargain they're willing to make.
I mean, that's so on brand for Travis Kalanick. I mean, he is a notorious douchebag. Like, he does not care. There are no scruples. And in the world of, I mean, in the world of late stage capitalism apps in San Francisco and Silicon Valley, it is do first and ask forgiveness later, right? You know, like, and like, it doesn't matter. They're trying to disrupt the taxi industry. They're trying to kill the taxi industry. And they're utilizing the fact that most government entities, most cities are completely clueless on how to regulate any of this. And they're like, we'll get in while it's good. You know, all the scooters, you know, around people, they just dump those companies. Uber's one of them. You got Lime, you've got Bird, whatever. They just dumped them. They just straight up didn't ask permission, didn't talk about regulations, didn't even talk about like safety. Where would the scooter riders even go? We're just gonna dump them on the streets. We're just see how it works, and we'll pay people to pick them up. And people are so desperate for work, so hunky dory, everything works out for us. It is insane, and it's so sad how behind government regulation is, and yet how necessary it is. Meanwhile, the cat is out of the bag, and taxi drivers with their once valuable medallions have been hung out to dry. Thankfully, like in New York, the taxi cab driver union was able to get some money back from the city for their incredible lack of oversight over Uber and Lyft and other so-called ride-sharing companies. So.
Yeah, and by the way, that's not to say that the taxi companies don't have big issues, or that taxi, that industry wasn't set up with a lot of overlap with government, all that. Totally, I'm not a fan of taxis either. It's just Uber has had so many issues. We're only touching on a few things. There's so many, the covering up sexual assaults and not seeming to care about that, the surge pricing during natural disasters and terrorist attacks. And there's so many things that we could talk about there. But I didn't know, for instance, that apparently Emmanuel Macron, the French president, brokered what he called a secret deal in the French cabinet to help out Uber. They had so much access to the French government. Or what about here, our government? So back when Joe Biden was vice president, he apparently was late to a meeting with the head of Uber. The head of Uber texted someone saying, at the Intercontinental waiting for Biden, who is late, I've had my people let him know that every minute late he is one less minute he will have with me. That's what he said about the vice president. That's the access he had. And this isn't just about the fate of one company. Like the whole gig economy thing, like how many laws have been written to beat down workers and to stop them from organizing, to make sure that they don't have to have competitive wages, benefits, time off, all of those sorts of things. Like this sort of corruption has affected people's lives, lots and lots of people in really negative ways.
Yeah, and I'll just say, final thought, I'll just push back and just say that there is and had been lots of oversight in terms of who can be a taxi cab driver or not. Not that those taxi companies are angels, they're often awful and exploit their workers, but there was government oversight. You knew that this was a verified cab. It was not farmed out to a third party.
Exactly, yeah. No, there are definitely pros and cons and all that. It's just the price and all that. It's not necessarily great for people too. Sure. Okay, with that said, we need to jump into our last topic in just one moment. I want to recognize a few people. Pandora over on YouTube for 18 months is looking to Aptera, San Diego solar electric car that should be coming out in 2023, 2024. I'm not familiar with it, but I will look into it. Thank you. Kiddaboot Forever says, I'm still here. 19 months of still being here. Thank you, Kiddaboot. Much appreciated. Samuel and the Kind Dragon gifted a sub over on Twitch. So nice of you. Okay, with that, we only have a few more minutes, so let's jump into the most important news of the day. Thor: Love and Thunder features not only Thor, but as you might have seen from the trailers, Natalie Portman returning, not as Jane, her original incarnation, but she is now the mighty Thor, a female Thor, and she is strong, and that cannot be tolerated. Some people, they can't accept it, they don't like it, and it makes them very, very angry and scared. It also makes them conspiratorial because going around on Twitter and Reddit is this theory that they have lied about how good of shape she got into. So take a look at this post from Reddit. So Natalie Portman is as buff as we thought. Check those markers on her arm. And you can see there are mocap dots on her arm that allows special effects to be applied later on. And so you can also see a similar sort of thing going on Twitter. The idea being that they have faked that she has nice guns by using that mocap thing. And they're very, very worried about this. They're very angry about this. Look at this tweet. They think we're stupid, huh? The article keeps mentioning it was important to achieve the biggest muscular arms possible on a special vegan diet. You mean the CGI arms? Remember when Natalie swore she did all that difficult ballet in Black Swan and it was all a lie? They're so mad that this guy says, yes, watching Dolph Lundgren's Punisher when he doesn't use CGI arms doesn't allow anyone to cuck him. Because Thor, the fictional character, was cucked by the fact that Natalie Portman has nice arms. So first of all, even if they were faking her arms, who cares? It's a movie, but there doesn't seem to be good evidence that they have. For one thing, she spent 10 months building muscle with a trainer. Also, as many people have pointed out, there are other reasons to put the dots on people's arms other than changing their arms. Thor himself had those dots in behind the scenes photos. He's got massive guns. Why? Well, take a look at this. They sometimes add armor in post and they need the mocap dots to do that. And they even admitted, no, like they did change things in post. They made her taller because she's only 5'3" and they wanted her to be about 6. But they say that's the only movie magic we used. Everything else was all her. And you can see behind the scenes photos like in this, what, all the journalists were photoshopping photos to make her look better? Why would they do that? Now again, whether they faked it or not, and it appears that they didn't, it wouldn't matter at all, except that why are there so many men that can't accept that female characters either exist, or if they're gonna exist, they can't be as strong as a man, Francesca?
Well, that's the thing, is that if she weren't, like, Natalie Portman is a small, slight person. It was an interesting choice for this role. And you're absolutely right for all the reasons. This is a super sexist attack. But imagine if she was huge. Imagine if she was ripped. What would the complaint be then? She's not hot enough. Why is she not even really a she? I don't know. It would have been incessant. You can't please. And I'm sorry because I'm in the presence of one, but like movie nerds when it comes to women are just so insatiable and disgusting sometimes. And also there's like a gross underbelly of like, yeah, racism and sexism and all this. But like, yeah, if she was gigantic, you'd be like, I'm not gonna watch because I don't want to do her, right? Yeah. We know that that's what it would have happened. And also, by the way, all the abs in 600, or what was it? 300? 300. Remember those CGI abs? You think those are real? No.
Yeah. Well, and certainly enhanced. And as many people point out, and I don't know how many of these people doing this criticism work out or have muscles. You can have very big muscles under certain circumstances, and then under certain lighting, when you haven't been working out that day, they don't look nearly as big.
Right.
You could be behind the scenes. But like, do they get that like, when Brad Pitt did that amazing shot in Fight Club, he had been doing crunches 3 seconds before the camera started rolling. That's what they did on 300. Every single guy, like when Chris Pratt had his ab shot in Guardians of the Galaxy, he was lifting weights the second before the shot went.
Also, shading and makeup. Like,
and
hats
also
off to the costume crew.
And I know a lot of people are saying, why does this matter? This has nothing to do with anything. No, but it does, because this shouldn't have anything to do with politics. But you don't think that like Matt Walsh and Ben Shapiro and all that are gonna be talking about this and using it as an inroads to fascism? They do, like spurring male insecurity about the role of women and their own masculinity. That's what they do. So I feel like there has to be a counterpoint to that. Actual strong progressive men need to point out that strength for men shouldn't come about from being terrified by everyone else in the world and constantly being worried about whether you're man enough. That's not what strength is made of. It shouldn't need to be pointed out, but it clearly does. Anyway, with that said, that's all the time that we have for our show. Francesca, thank you so much.
Thank you, John.
Everyone check out the Bitchuation Room and the Twitchuation Room. And in a little bit, if you're a tier 2 or tier 3 member on YouTube, you'll be able to check out our top 10 list. We're gonna record it in just a few minutes. The top 10 hopes we have remaining for what remains of 2022. That'll be coming out in just a little bit. Indisputable is up next, so don't go anywhere. But for now, stay safe out there, stay sane out there, and we'll see you soon.